Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 44 of the Sports Desk. I am Splash. As always, we are joined with Jack. I got the
Yes,
direction right.
you got it. Let me see if I can do it the right way. Yeah, there we go. We got it.
In honor of episode 44, we have All-Pro Marlowe, who's been terrible this season, but that's beside the point. How's it going, Jack?
Man, what a weird week in not just the NFL, but just sports in general. I mean, it's just been crazy as of late.
Absolutely.
I guess you could call it drunk. I guess some people called it drunk. I'm just gonna call it drunk because why the hell not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom told me to stop using drug references. So, love you, Mom.
To be fair, it's not really a drug reference, but it is.
Well,
what it is.
I usually say things are on crack or whatever. So we're a clean show here, so I'm going to refrain.
PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13. Unless Stefan's on, then it is like grand parental supervision required.
Anyways,
let's recap the last week. First of all, I'm not wearing any Braves things today, but the Atlanta Braves won the World Series. If you want to see my prediction, check out Tuesday, November 2nd show, episode 43, the Troy Polamalu episode. And I said Max Fried would deliver us to the promised land. And Max Fried delivered us to the promised land with a vintage, 2003 Josh Beckett, 2004 Yordano Ventura, rest in peace, King. Madison Bumgarner-like performance. What a game from Fried. And then the bats came alive. Jorge Soler hit an absolute missile. Still don't know if it's landed yet. Dansby Swanson, Freddie Freeman. And I'm going to be really upset if that's the last Freddie Freeman dinger as a member of the Braves. He had a foreboding Instagram post the other day saying he was thankful for all the memories. Look, I know people can be thankful at any point, but it is kind of sketchy. I need the Braves to re-sign him.
When that comes up after winning a World Series, yeah, that seems a little sketch.
Yeah, it's very 2011 Albert Pujols-y to me, because the Cardinals did win the World Series. They weren't supposed to, but they did. And then Pujols leaves in free agency to an LA team. Freeman's a California guy.
If he comes to the Dodgers.
Yeah, if he goes to the Dodgers, I don't think I could live.
I think
we would have to have a permanent cancellation of our show. If he goes to the Angels, that would be interesting because Jared Walsh was really good this season. And I don't know how much he projects as like a corner outfielder because they already have Rendon and they're paying him a boatload of money. So you get Freddie and you're like, what are you doing? So who knows? And then eventually
should we get to the point of your little spiel though?
Oh, the Atlanta Braves won the World Series.
And that means
yes,
it's on the way.
Yeah, it is on the way. Listen, folks. I live in Tucson. I do not own a vehicle. I do not want to pay for 2 Ubers and a haircut. So I'm going to wait. It is already planned. I'm going to my uncle's barber in Falls Church, Virginia. He gets his beard trimmed. He gets his haircut every time there. So I'm going to go there so I don't have to pay 2 Ubers because they're ridiculous. And so I don't have to pay for a haircut out of my own pocket. So it is on the way, folks. I know you guys you wanted to see clean shaven Splash today. It's going to be a little bit, but it's planned. And I did want to throw it out there. Do you guys want clean shaven Splash or like trimmed Splash? Like I'm thinking, say like Dansby Swanson, like beard or
who is that one guy on Oakland who had like a swirly beard kind of like I forget who that was.
Wait a minute. It wrapped around his mouth?
Yeah, it went like this, like around his mouth and then like it was just on one side of his face. It was weird.
I forget who it was, but I'm not going to do that. So as of right now, the options are get a Dansby Swanson kind of haircut and beard trimming, or just go completely clean shaven.
It was Mike Fears or Fires or however you pronounce it.
He was the whistleblower on the whole Astros cheating scandal.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out to him. I would rather look like Dansby than clean shaven, but I'll do what the people want.
Do what the people. I'm gonna abstain from this vote. You guys tell Splash what you want.
Yeah. So let me know. Tag me on the app. Tag me on Insta at Mr. Splashman19. Tag me on Twitter, Snapchat me, message me, whatever you guys want to do. But it's open. I have committed to it. I have talked to my grandmother about it. Shout out to her, my mom, my dad. It's all worked out. Mid-December, it's going to happen, and someone's going to be there to record it. So that might be an Instagram short, a YouTube short. Frankie wants to be able to fire those up. So that's the beard situation. The Atlanta Braves are world champions. My beard is going to decrease in size immensely in about a month. So
there you go.
So also no shave November. That was ironic, but all right.
Unfortunate timing, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Speaking of, shall we get to some hot takes, sir?
Let's do it.
All right.
We got some spicy ones.
We do have some spicy ones, folks. It was a wild week. We'll get into the week itself in a little bit and award races and things of that nature. But before we do, we have some shows coming up. Wednesday, tomorrow, we have Play Like a Jet. We have the Play Action Pod with Will and Colton. Thursday, I'm cooking up some things under the hood. I have some things I think you're going to like. We could have a return of splashes, superlatives. I need to do that again because I feel bad that I've wasted Henry's time 3 weeks in a row. So we're going to get back on that. And you might see a midseason all-pro team. Maybe try to get a guest on. Saturday, huge episode of Snacks and Sunny. It's going to be a banger. Make sure you tune in 1 o'clock Eastern time, Saturday morning. Zach's doing his show, college football show, college football playoff reveal at 8 p.m. Eastern. He's going to be back Saturday for a show and probably Monday for a little wrap-up show, or Tuesday again for a wrap-up show. So with that said, hot take time, baby.
Let's do it.
So I have some hot takes that I'm going to have later in the show. I'm not going to get into them now.
I think both of us do.
Yeah, when we get into our predictions.
Both of us have some spicy award predictions. I'm curious to see how we react to these.
All right. From friend of the show, FTV 1939. Water is 69% wet.
Nice. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. All right. This is from...
The water debate's been going on for way too long.
Yeah, I think he's commented on like 10 straight shows. Chef Squill, Will, make sure you tune into his show tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. The Titans are an even better team without Derrick Henry.
This is interesting take, to say the least.
So you go first because your team.
Because I got to witness the mass destruction on Sunday night.
Yes.
But I'm gonna say that was more Tennessee's defense. And fun fact, Derrick Henry's a running back, so him being out doesn't really affect their defense. And I think their defense has really stepped it up this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say this isn't really much of a factor in like whether or not they're good or bad, because again, it's a completely different position. I thought they looked okay with AP. I didn't see him do anything. He had a touchdown in garbage time.
Yes,
that's what he did.
Yes, he did.
But I didn't really see him explode the way Derrick Henry did. I just saw like, I don't know. That game was weird. That game was really weird.
Yeah, this is just another in the long line of just straight up goofy games this week. But here's the thing with Tennessee, and I want to be very clear with this, that Tennessee to me is, as of right now, the best team in the AFC. The record shows that, and the way they're playing the last few weeks shows that. But they have an issue. But the thing with their issue that makes it different from other teams is that Henry's not out for the season. He's just out for an extended time. This is like Russell Wilson in Seattle, that you have to gauge the Titans now in the lens of Derrick Henry is going to be back for the playoffs. So if the Super Bowl was played if the playoffs started Sunday, I don't think the Titans win the Super Bowl. But I think you have to have that conversation of the Titans can win the Super Bowl. I don't think I was saying that the last 2 years. I thought they were very, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but it was a very Henry-reliant thing. Like they needed a Terrell Davis kind of run, right? They needed a Marcus Allen, John Riggins, even Sony Michel in 2018. They needed Derrick Henry to be the best player on the field for 3 or 4 straight games. That's really hard to do. There's the reason why it's Terrell Davis, and really that's about it. Guys that went bonkers 4 weeks in a row in the playoffs. So the last couple of years, they're a little Henry dependent. And I'm not saying they're not this year, because the offense was an absolute mess. Like Tannehill was just not great. The running game didn't do much. Now that is a testament to how good the Rams defense is, but it is also this is a very Henry, I don't want to say Henry dependent team, but a Henry functions as the quarterback in a way that he controls so much of the offense. Just deciding whether to run or pass goes through Henry. Now, of course, he's a running back and doesn't actively throw the football unless it's against the Ravens in the playoffs or against the Chiefs. I get you have two obvious examples, but it's very much how I watched a video. It was about Lamar Jackson, but he mentioned that Lamar is kind of the Derrick Henry, but he throws the football as well. So he's like taking the snaps. But Derrick Henry is a running back, yes, but he is as important as it gets at the running back position. And he dictates a lot of what the Titans can even do offensively. He is a numbers adjuster in the box. And I think you have to open up the Super Bowl window when he comes back. Because the offense is going to get a lot better when he comes back. Right now, it's just kind of treading water. You just stay ahead of the Colts, and they should be fine. But when Henry comes back, the offense gets that dynamism again, and the defense has said we're not as bad as we were in 2020, and I think it's been impressive. Did Matthew Stafford turn into a pumpkin Sunday? Yes, but Jeffrey Simmons outplayed Aaron Donald. First and foremost, 9 pressures, 3 sacks.
He was
huge
a beast.
Huge first half, and then Tennessee kind of sat on it a little bit in the second half.
This game honestly reminded me of the Rams-Dolphins game from last year, where a series of bad plays are what screwed the Rams over. Like you had that. What happened? It was that weird, like he could have been tackled in the end zone for a safety. It wasn't a safety, but it got picked off. And then they scored on the short field position, and then Stafford throws a pick 6. It's 2 bad plays that go wrong. It's like a small series of bad plays that just go wrong for the Rams. And then defensively, they step it up, but offensively, they can't seem to figure it out. And
I think everything you just said applies to the Ravens-Titans. For the first playoff game, that if you took an average play out of that game, the Ravens would have won. But the Titans swung momentum by getting every big play went the way of the Titans.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened in this game too. There were only 3 big plays in this game, and all of them went towards Tennessee.
Yeah, you had the Ramsey pick. That was about it. That was the biggest momentum shift of the game. The Titans went for it on 4th down a couple times, got them every time. They had a pick 6. They had a 1-play touchdown drive. That's not going to happen often. And mad respect to Tennessee for going into SoFi and asserting their dominance. They even ruined, the little intro that you guys do. Let's get ready to rumble.
That was weird. I didn't even know he was in the building. I didn't even know that Michael Buffer was back in the building for that one. And then they kicked it off while it was going on. So that was funny.
So I do think saying the Titans are better without Derrick Henry is Carolina Reaper take, but I will say that this defense is going to get after you, and they will punch you in the mouth. And they even said it on the broadcast that Mike Vrabel is an old-fashioned coach, and you got to be on all your P's and Q's. You're not going to out-physical the Titans. To beat the Titans, you're going to have to have an extraordinary effort and match them physically. And that's what Arizona did week 1. That's what the Jets did. And that's what teams like the Chiefs weren't able to do. The Bills weren't able to do. Big moments, the Titans won, in the trenches. And even the Jets, as bad as they are usually, they can match up in the trenches. Like Elijah Vera Tucker, he's a dog.
They did it to the Rams last year.
Yeah, that's true. They did it to the Rams last year. They have a defensive line that'll get up for some games. But even the Cardinals, when you have J.J. Watt and you have Humphreys is playing as well as he did, and Rodney Hudson, they can get up for those games too. But Tennessee's really hard to beat, and they're limited off. They're going to be limited offensively without Henry because McNichols and Foreman and Peterson are just limited backs, and Tennessee is so reliant on that not even the run game, just the idea of the run. Say the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. A lot of what Lamar does well is just exist. And a lot of what Derrick Henry does well is exist and force 8-man boxes, 9-man boxes. He can take advantage of those, but so can Ryan Tannehill. And Tannehill is not going to have as advantageous of a situation when Henry's not on the field. So I would not say the Titans are better, but I do say they're the best team in the AFC right now. And if they had a neutral site game against any team in the conference, I would take them by like a field goal. So there's my take.
Well, if there's anything more we have to say on that game, we'll get to it later on. But yeah,
sure.
I pretty much agree.
All right.
What's next?
CF1K. The Jags will be a top 10 team next season.
Rebuilds take time.
Yeah.
Unless you have Sean McVay as your head coach, then they take a year. This is like a habanero ghost pepper take. It's like
it's getting up there. Man, I can see it because you have Lawrence, and I really like Lawrence. And Lawrence, wasn't very good against Buffalo, but he's had his moments, and I think he's going to figure it out. But I don't trust Urban Meyer, and I'm not going to trust a generic rookie head coach, if that makes sense. Like, so if you have Urban still, which I don't know, if you have Urban, I don't think you're a top 10 team. If you have someone else, then it's remained to be seen, kind of, right? Like even like Brandon Staley with the Chargers, like we all think that's a slam dunk hire, and he was an awesome bet for coach of the year. And are the Chargers a definitive top 10 team? They have a superstar quarterback. They have all these wonderful pieces. They are a much better roster than Jacksonville, and they have a much better coach. And they're a week-to-week team. Like they can get exploited by a pretty pedestrian Ravens team one week, and then the Patriots the next week. It's like, what do you take from that? Because I don't think people are super high on Baltimore and super high in New England, but what are the Chargers doing against them? Oh, they're losing. They're getting blown out by the Ravens. They're down 10 with a minute to go against the Patriots. Like, I don't know, man. I don't see it. I think this is up there. Although I will say, when you have a quarterback as good as Trevor Lawrence is projected to be, opens up the window. So that's why I'm not saying Pepper X.
Definitely.
Like if they say like, I can't even give you like Detroit. Like Detroit, who's their starting quarterback week 1 next year? Is it Goff? Okay, then that eliminates you from being in the top 10 team because they don't have the roster around Goff. Like the Rams do have the roster around Goff. If Goff was the quarterback of the Rams, they'd be a top 10 team. But the Lions don't. And the Lions also currently do not have that home run potential at quarterback. Like the Jags do, like the Jets do, like the Bears do, and like the I guess the Niners do. So
maybe you said the Bears already.
Bears. Big shout. Oh, I want to give a shout out to Justin Fields right now.
Justin Fields balled last night.
Highest PFF passing grade by a quarterback this week, Justin Fields. On the road in Pittsburgh, Monday night, had a 90 overall grade, 88 passing grade, just ahead of Baker. Shout out to Baker, too. He was great at Battle of Ohio. Those are the only 2 starting quarterbacks with an 80-plus passing grade. What a weird week for quarterbacks. So, speaking of quarterbacks, we have Lawless 65. He says Josh Allen is less accurate than Lamar Jackson.
Less accurate.
I think I tend to agree with that. It's because Allen, they're just they're different kinds of inaccurate. Does that make sense? Like if I
elaborate.
Okay. So if you have one individual throw, I think Lamar is more likely to be accurate. But at the same time, Lamar is making fundamentally more difficult throws, and it's harder to be accurate down the field. And he leads the NFL in average depth of target by like 2 yards. So he is pushing the ball down the field as often as anyone in the league is, more so than anyone in the league is. So his, say, completion percentage, his adjusted completion percentage, his completion percentage over expectation, those are all going to be lower than Allen's because he's just pushing the ball down the field so much. And I think that's what people drag accuracy into it, because they don't realize, like, this is the Cam Newton thing. Like, oh, Cam only completes 60% of his passes. He's a bum. Well, look at the passes he's attempting. Like, he is pushing the ball down the field to Ted Ginn and Steve Smith and like good deep threats, right? So if you're doing that, you're not going to complete 70% of your passes. That's incredibly difficult to do. That's what made Rodgers last year so impressive, is that he had a huge yards per attempt, and he was always taking these deep shots, but he completed 70% of his passes. Those are not supposed to match up. This is very much like Russell Wilson. We'll get into Russell Wilson in a little bit, but he is among the league leaders in completion percentage and adjusted completion percentage and yards per attempt and big time throw percentage and turnover worthy play percentage. Those stats aren't supposed to go together. Like, if you are pushing the ball down the field as much as he is, you're going to turn the ball over sometimes, and you're going to have a lot of incompletions. He's not doing either. He's completing almost everything. And so I would say Lamar is more accurate, but depending on your sample size, it might look like that Allen is more accurate. But I think if you went station by station, like short passes, I think Lamar is more accurate. Intermediate passes, Lamar is more accurate. Deep passes, I think Lamar is more accurate. Does Allen have a more impressive arm? Yes. And also, if you look at the spreads of that, then you might have Allen has a higher completion percentage or better accuracy numbers, whatever it may be, because Lamar is throwing. It would be like, say, James Harden shooting 40% on threes. 40% from the field isn't good, but if all of your shots are threes, it's great. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. It'd be like, I'll use the hockey reference. If you had a bunch of tap-ins, you'd expect to have a high percentage, like a high shooting percentage, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're taking shots from the blue line, you're not going to have a very high percentage. Correct?
Yeah.
So
I think so. That makes sense.
So converting from the blue line, like Lamar Jackson does converting on the deep balls, is going to be more impressive than converting a bunch
It's
of
going to be more impressive than like if he throws a check down.
Yes. Although Lamar should check the ball down more often. That's another story.
That's a story for another time. Yeah. I get you though.
Yeah. We have Titans Reg. Curry, my favorite player and the best. He could make. That's a lot of zeros. He could make a lot of layups in a row.
0, 0, 0. I'm not going to count all these.
Okay, let me do my method. 1,000.
Pepper X only because I can't count.
Billion. So he says Curry could make 10 trillion layups in a row.
I'm curious, how long would it take for somebody to shoot that many?
Okay, let me do some quick math here. Okay, so let's assume you could shoot a layup every second. So one every second. Seconds. Okay, so if you could take
10 trillion, you said, right? Or 10 billion?
Yeah, 10 trillion. 10. I accidentally typed in 1 trillion. Okay. Okay. 1 trillion seconds would be 31,709.8 years. That's just 1 trillion seconds, let alone
that's just
billion.
1 trillion.
Yeah.
So multiply that number by 10.
Yeah. So it would take 310,000 years. So I like Curry. Curry is a great player, and I mean, but I don't think you're making a layup every second for the rest of your life. Plus,
that's
the rest
a Pepper
of
X take.
Yeah. So that was fun. All right. Good. There you go. Math.
Fun that gets. Never say we didn't teach you anything on the show.
Right. Exactly. Thugganem says, if the Saints don't draft a corner and receiver with their first 2 picks, their draft grade should be an F.
Don't they have some? Well, I was gonna say they have some QB issues, but Jameis is just out for the year. But I mean, if they hold on to him, I don't think they're in a terrible spot. I like the receiver pick. Yeah, because I don't know what the hell's going on with Mike Thomas. Like, I know he's out for the year this year, but I just don't.
Yeah, that's just a strange situation. We'll touch on Odell later if you want to talk about diva receivers, but corner, I don't hate their cornerback room. I think they have one of the better secondaries in the NFL. I think Marshawn Lattimore is like top tier.
Lattimore's really good.
Love Lattimore. Paulson Adebo has shown some promise. Gardner Johnson is solid. Both Williams as safety are great. So Receiver, I agree with. They need like a number one or at least a 1B, kind of like even like a Rashad Bateman type. If you drop like a Rashad Bateman type, who actually Rashad Bateman is very similar to Michael Thomas, but forget that I said that. But if you drop like a complimentary receiver into that room, like if you take any guy taken in the first few rounds in 2021, say Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall, Bateman, Tony, I don't want to use Chase and Smith and Waddle, but if you took anyone from like 4 to 10, you're going to have a good player. And this is another loaded receiver class. You have Garrett Wilson and Olave from OSU. You have the kid from Arkansas that's just ridiculous. And you have even Drake London from USC. I think he either tore his ACL or ruptured his Achilles, which sucks, but he's a lot of fun to watch. There's tons of nice receivers. They absolutely should draft a receiver. Corner, I'm a little more rosy.
Maybe
about
wait until the second round for a corner. I don't know.
Yeah, you could do that. I haven't looked too much at the corner class this year, but you can always get some depth guys. Heck, they got a Debo on the end of day 2, day 3 last year, so they can do some things.
There you go.
All right, I've never heard of this guy before. At Jack Mitchell.
Who is that guy?
I don't know.
Not sure I've ever heard of him.
Apparently he's a Rams fan. You might like him. The Rams need to bring back Josh Reynolds.
Okay, jokes aside here. This is not really much of a hot take. It's more so me saying something that I think needs to happen because the Rams we've talked about this last week too. When they get hurt, their backups are not going to be great. Mm-hmm. And we saw what happened with Deshaun Jackson. He is now a Raider.
Raiders.
We brought in Jacob Harris. It looked like he was going to be he was listed as a tight end. Sean McVay said that was a mistake. He's supposed to be a wide receiver. Well, guess what? He got hurt last Sunday, so he's out for the year. The Rams need another wide receiver 4, and I think Josh Reynolds, that he just got his release granted from Tennessee today. Bring him back. Mm-hmm. I think it would be really good to reintegrate him into the offense, get him going with Stafford. I think a team only owes him like $500,000 from waivers, so do it.
Yeah,
you're not paying that much for Von Miller. You might as well try to do this if you're going to make a run. Get some extra wide receiver and depth in there.
Yeah, and he knows the system. He's a guy that it's not like you're trying to add Deshaun Jackson, right? He knows the system. He's been there. He's done all the things you can do.
He was a stud last year too. I loved his play.
He's not a bad player. And I got into this conversation with Steelers fans about Deontay Johnson. And Deontay Johnson is obviously better than Josh Reynolds, but I'm going to draw the parallel. There are a lot of good receivers in the NFL that are not on rosters. Like John Brown just got signed. John Brown can be a productive wide receiver in the league. He is a top 100 receiver, but he just got signed. And Josh Reynolds fits that same mold of he could be probably a viable wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 for a lot of teams, but he just didn't get the chance in Tennessee. But if he goes back to Los Angeles or a lot of other teams,
probably get the chance.
Like he can be a good player there. So I agree. I think that would be a savvy pickup from Les Snead.
Yeah, that would be a really good fit. So make it happen, Les. We know you can do it.
All right, last one. We have Danny Boy 82202. The Giants are a few pieces away, including a competent offensive coordinator, away from being actual threats again.
I strangely don't hate this.
Yeah, me neither.
I think that the Giants, their defense has been stout as of late.
Yeah, they
not like
David Carr on Sunday.
Yeah. Not like overly like they're the most elite defense in the league, but they've held their ground in some games in recent years when you maybe won't think that they would be able to. I like some of their additions. It sucks that Galladay's been hurt. It sucks that
Barkley's been hurt.
Barkley's been hurt.
Tony's been hurt. Shepard's been hurt. Everyone on the offense has been hurt besides Jones and Ingram.
There was one guy defensively that they got. What was his name?
Jabril Peppers tore his ACL.
Yeah, Peppers. There was one other guy. I forget his name. He's a big name player, so I don't know why I forget.
Bradbury's been really good this season. McKinney was awesome. Oh, he had a special game. Oh man, okay. I'm going to jump on my Xavier McKinney soapbox. I had
Go
this
for it.
man as the number 12 prospect in 2020. He fell into the second round. I thought this is a banger and a half of a pick. He was spectacular. He's in my team of the week. Just an unreal day. Nav 2 pick six, or had a pick six and another interception on Carr. Just a wonderful game, and I'm so happy for him. He is on that borderline of making my Pro Bowl team. So he has been just special this season. So I love to see that. I love to see guys that he was as highly regarded of a safety as I've like physically graded. I've done like, I think player by player grades for the last 3 years now. He is, I want to say safety one. I wouldn't have had him as high as Minka or Derwin in 2018, but Xavier McKinney is a special kind of player, and I'm super excited that he's realizing that potential in New York.
What's his name? I'm forgetting everybody's names. Kadarius Toney too. He looks good.
Yeah, Tony's been awesome. Been hurt, but he's been awesome.
Yeah,
too.
Again, been hurt. But like, if they stay healthy and they get some more pieces to fill in those holes, I think even with Daniel Jones, you could probably make a good run in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and keep in mind, they play in the NFC East. They have Washington again. They have Philly twice. Those are winnable games. They have a lot of winnable games in their schedule. And remember, they hold the tiebreaker over the Saints. That is, I think that it could come down to that.
Huge. That they have that
Seattle
tiebreaker.
doesn't hold the tiebreaker over the Saints. Atlanta ironically does. Carolina does. But I think if you look at it, I think the Giants are better than the Falcons. The Falcons did win the head-to-head, I'm aware, but it took divine intervention. The Giants are better than Carolina, and I think the long-term outlook on the Giants might be better than the Saints because I don't trust Trevor Siemian. Siemian was actually fine against the Falcons, turned it on late, but I would not be surprised if the Giants made the playoffs, which is a weird thing to say. I know. I looked at their schedule.
It is listen. It's the
10,
NFC
8,
East.
9. Yeah, that's true.
Teams are like we saw how last year how it came. It was the funniest moment I think all of last season when the Giants on Twitter like they lost their mind when the Eagles put in Nate Sudfeld and everyone on the Giants was just losing their minds. Like, what are they doing? We are going to lose it. They're going to lose this game. We're going to miss the playoffs.
Yep. That was a travesty. That was just so bad. Anyways,
such a mess last year.
Oh man, I wanted to do a transition, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, okay. Well, on the subject of Kadarius Toney, I'll take down the graphic for now. Do you think that like wide receivers nowadays are more kind of typecast as running backs? Because it seems like every receiver from the last 3 years has like advanced ability after the catch. Cooper Kupp wasn't in the last 3 years, but he's a guy that has exploded onto the scene with this. Like Kupp is awesome after the catch. And then like the last 3 draft classes, AJ Brown, Deebo Samuel, Kadarius Toney, Justin Jefferson, these guys are just absolute menaces after the catch. Do you think this is something that teams are prioritizing, that players are prioritizing, or do you think it just is like the kind of athletes we have?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a player-specific thing. It depends on the player and what they are comfortable with doing, as well as like what they can and can't do. They'll probably like maybe say, in practice too, they'll probably talk to the coach and be like, hey, this is more something I can do. Like I can be a big yards after the catch guy, or I can be a better deep threat. I think it's really player dependent.
Okay. Because it's like guys, when I was growing up, like I don't know if it was just a different offensive focus, but I didn't really notice the guys that were just yak threats. It was all kind of, you get what you get, really. Like Randy Moss is going to take the ball deep, take the top off the defense, and he did that, but he wasn't getting applauded for his yards after the catch ability. It was like route running, like Ocho Cinco was like awesome route runner. Moss is a deep threat. Welker is just a slot savvy route runner, third down weapon. But now guys are like essentially running backs with the ball. Laviska Shenault hasn't had a very good season this year, but he's a running back with the ball in his hands. It's just kind of crazy to see. So I wanted your thoughts on that before we hop into some more NFL talk.
I really just think it's player dependent.
For sure.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about some awards?
Yeah, I was gonna say we were probably gonna jump into the week.
Okay, we can do that.
We can do either one. We can do either one.
Yeah. Pick your poison, sir.
All right, we'll go with the recap. Kind of skim through this. We got a lot. This is a packed show, so we actually got done with hot takes in under 40 minutes. It's a miracle.
Yeah, huge props there. Yeah. So started Thursday night. Jets at Klotz. Klotz took the dub, big dub, 45-30 over the Jets. That was actually a scoregami. Which,
believe it or not, 35-40 is a scoregami. Unreal.
Yeah, great stuff. Carson Wentz looked pretty good. Michael Pittman continued his Pro Bowl case.
I love Michael Pittman.
Yeah, he was
so fun to watch.
I feel like I kind of get pushed to the side with some of these guys because I don't like overwhelmingly love them. Like I think Pittman is a very good player. I just find other guys from the draft class like a little bit better, and I become like a Michael Pittman hater. I don't hate Michael Pittman. He's a very good receiver. It just wasn't my favorite in the class, but he's awesome. He has been great this year. He is the passing offense. The entire Colts passing offense is deep balls to Michael Pittman. I wish I was joking, but it is. Whether it's a DPI, like they got it several times against San Francisco, or him just like mossing dudes like he did to Anthony Averett. Pittman's a beast. He's a menace.
I can't remember whether he had a touchdown against the Rams this year, but he played well against us. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
He had two first quarter touchdowns against Tennessee 2 weeks ago.
I think it goes without saying the loss of Mike White pretty much killed the Jets in that game.
Yeah, Josh Johnson was okay, though. It's just
LA Wildcats legend Josh Johnson. He's been everywhere.
You could. There's like 25 teams. You could say there's XXX legend, or even like I like to joke, like say Philadelphia Eagles legend Frank Gore or Bills legend Antonio Brown. You can make that joke with like 50 teams for Josh Johnson. He is so old and was in college such a long time ago that I heard this somewhere that Jim Harbaugh was his coach at San Diego, not San Diego State, not Stanford, not Michigan, not San Francisco 49ers. San Diego. Jim Harbaugh has been an established coach at 3 different places since Josh Johnson was in college, as far as I can tell. So I should have fact checked that, but that's okay.
Anyway,
so big shout out. He went for over 300 yards. The Jets have their like one of their best ever like 2-week stretches.
He had a couple of drives where I thought, it's probably not going to happen, but maybe they might be able to pull off some sort of a comeback.
I was rooting for them to cover. They didn't cover.
I was hoping for some kind of miracle. It didn't happen, but
So big props. Elijah Moore, 2 touchdowns. Congratulations. Kwity Paye, another rookie that showed out. 9 pressures, led all of the NFL this week. He had 9. A certain Steeler that I'll touch on later had 8. So big shout outs to Paye and Moore showing out for the rookies. So
speaking of rookies, shout out to Trevor Lawrence for getting win number 2. The Jaguars winning with the funny number scores 6-9 over the Bills.
Yeah, this is the only time I will let you say the lower number first because that is one of my biggest pet peeves in sports. But when the score is 6-9, I'm okay with it. So that was a nice game. Absolute awesome performance from Josh Allen. Absolute terrible performance from Josh Allen.
I remember there was like this big guy coming in with like not wearing a shirt, and he just painted over his chest, "Our Josh Allen is better," and it was a Bills fan. And I wanted to find that picture so bad, and just tweet that and be like, "That aged well, didn't it?"
Yeah. Okay, so to distinguish, just Jags Josh Allen had an interception, a sack.
He picked off Josh Allen,
and a fumble recovery.
Josh Allen, and he recovered a fumble from Josh Allen.
Yes. The Bills Josh Allen had one of the worst games I've seen him play in a long time. It is quintessential 2018, early 2019 Josh Allen. It was bad. It was just bad. He had a fumble late in the game that should have been a fumble. I'm shocked they didn't review it. Should have been reviewed. I thought he lost. Smoot punched it out again, but just an ugly game from Allen, from the Bills Allen. The Jags Allen, first career interception. First career fumble recovery, and he gets a sack on a guy with the same name. So big shout out to
first
Josh,
time ever in NFL history that a player has sacked a quarterback with the same name as him.
Big time.
The Bills are a mess right now. I think it's safe to say They've let's see their schedule as of late. They beat the Chiefs 38-20. Then they
Allen
lost
was spectacular in that game.
He was.
I know I have this reputation of hating Josh Allen, but that was a special game from Allen. Not many quarterbacks can do that at Arrowhead.
Exactly.
Since then, Allen
it's been sketchy.
Yes.
They have that close loss to the Titans. That's one where I agree with what they did with Josh Allen, where he like ran it on fourth down and won.
Kind of folded under pressure there. So he came up small in a big moment. That's not going to happen every time. I know Buffalo played the odds, and I'll take my chances there, but that's a play that Allen has to convert. If you want to be a top 5 quarterback, you have to convert. I think Brady converts that. I think Dak converts that. I think Kyler converts that. I think
honestly, I think Goff converts that. I've seen him convert pretty tough 4th and 1. I think he gets that.
Did you see Big Ben last night on a read option?
Oh, jeez, that was insane.
Comedic highlight of the week. It's like, why is Big Ben running the read option?
I would advocate for Stafford too if he didn't have a stiff back. He said he had a stiff back this week, so if he's healthy, maybe. But
yeah, Justin Fields.
Justin Fields bald.
Yeah,
I guess we'll jump to Monday night.
Yeah, we can jump to Monday night.
Yeah, we'll go out of order.
The refs kind of stole the show here, but I do want to point out I thought the Steelers were just the better team, and the Bears had a fluky fumble return touch or fumble. Ray McLeod didn't muff a punt. He returned a punt. Like he had clear possession, started running forward, ball gets punched out, Bears take it back for touchdown. Look, those are fluky. Those don't happen very often. It's a great play by Chicago. I don't want to disagree with that, but they had a touchdown that was kind of fluky. So I think the Steelers were the better team. Don't make excuses. Don't say, well, the refs cost the Bears. No, the refs didn't cost the Bears squat. If the Bears
one play did not ruin the game for the Bears.
Yeah, it was bad. Look, I agree.
It was atrocious. Don't get me wrong.
But they didn't lose the game because of that. I think that's a very, very misguided idea that yes, momentum is a thing. Yes, I agree with you there. But at the end of the day, the Bears had plenty of other chances. If Robert Quinn doesn't line up offsides 5 different times in the second half, we're having a different conversation. If the Bears defense doesn't collapse late, we're having a different conversation. Or if they just, I don't know, use freaking Justin Fields on a Hail Mary. I don't know what the heck Nagy was thinking sending out Cairo Santos in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is the hardest place in the NFL to kick. It's Buffalo. It's Buffalo and Pittsburgh. It is impossible to kick there from beyond like 45 yards. Chris Boswell, that's what makes Chris Boswell special, and to a lesser degree, that's what makes Justin Tucker special because he's had his fair share of big field goals there, but that's beside the point. Chris Boswell is an awesome kicker because he dominates at Heinz Field. It is incredibly difficult to kick there. It is just about impossible to kick there.
To be honest
sending out
with you,
Santos from 61?
Honestly, the kick didn't look too bad. It was just short.
On the first angle, it didn't look bad.
The first angle, I think
like it hit the crossbar.
Yeah, Steve Levy said it hit the crossbar.
The second angle, I don't know if he barely got it into the end zone. It was like he was about 8 yards short from what I saw. So props to the Bears, props to Justin Fields. I would say this is the kind of game you want to see out of Fields that you lose, but Fields looks great, but the Giants have the Bears pick, so this is probably worst case scenario for the Bears. So ouch. But Fields, I think we got
to talk about the refs in this one too, because I mean that wasn't the only like just egregious call, and it's like
yeah, but the taunting call was bad. That's just a bad rule, I think.
I think it's more of a bad rule situation, at least in that one. Aaron Donald also got called for a really soft roughing the passer.
That was really stupid. If I was a Rams fan, I would have punched the hole in the TV.
I honestly like I was with other people, and if I wasn't with other people, this monitor that I'm sitting in front of would be good.
Yeah, I feel you.
He shoved him out of bounds with his hands.
He's like in the air. What are you supposed to? I don't know. Okay, I don't know why Donald was jumping there. To be fair, Donald did
quick,
put
I
himself in a
guess.
compromising position. I'll give
I
him that.
respect the hustle.
I'll give him that. I don't know what he was thinking there. Like, what's the process
God.
there? So
Yeah, but I mean, like, what else are you supposed to do?
just not jump in the air.
Just not, but just like
just try to tackle him like a normal person instead of try to, I don't know. I don't know what that was. There were some really weird calls in the Steelers game, but I think they were generally right. I disagree with the taunting rule. And I disagree on the one that was like, it was like a low block, but it's okay inside the tackle box, but outside the tackle box, it's not okay. But the guy was inside the tackle box. So I don't know. I would not have called that. I think that wiped away a touchdown, but I do think the Steelers are the better team. So tomatoes.
Yeah.
The Ravens won.
That was a nice comeback win from the Baltimore Ravens.
Fun fact for those at home, the Ravens have won 7 games. Have won 8 games in January. Wow. Have won 8 games in 2021. Week 17 against the Bengals, Titans playoff game, and then 6 this season. 4 of them have involved a double-digit comeback. So this has squashed any narrative that the Ravens can't come back. And I do want to point out how stupid that narrative is, because essentially you're bashing the Ravens for losing games that they should lose. It's kind of like teams are supposed to lose when you're down 10 in the fourth quarter. You're supposed to lose when you're getting dunked on for 30 minutes. It's cool that you can come back from it, but I'd rather not be down 22-3 to the Colts. Does that make sense? Like, it's cool that Lamar can come back from that. It's cool that Patrick Mahomes can come back from down 24-0 in a quarter. It's cool that Brady came back from down 28-3 in a Super Bowl, but I'd rather not be down 28-3. I'd rather not be down 24-0 in a quarter. I'd rather not be down 22-3 with 16 minutes to play.
I'd rather just not be down, period.
Yeah, exactly. So I think comebacks as a whole are overrated, which comebacks as a whole are a little overrated. Oh, some of them are valid, but a lot of them you put yourselves in a position to be bad. Lamar had a terrible interception like the first quarter of the game. If he doesn't throw that football, he might not need it, right? Or heck, Brady threw a pick 6 in the Super Bowl. If he doesn't throw a pick 6, might not need to come back. You don't need to come back from down 25. So ironically, Lamar Jackson leads the NFL in comebacks, leads the NFL in game-winning drives, and I think it's a stupid stat. So there we are. The Ravens did win 34-31. Justin Tucker came through, game-winning kick yet again, his second on the season. Not as good as the first one, 66 yards, but
I want to pull up my tweet about Justin Tucker really fast. I'm going to find it. I'm going to scroll really quickly. But I was about Justin Tucker. So if this will load. Okay, I actually remember it. Is there any word that describes Justin Tucker better than automatic?
I'm going to lie. I'm not going to lie here. I was a little stressed going into that last kick. I didn't want to tie the Vikings. He obviously didn't miss an extra point, but he had been a little left on his extra points. And they're the kind of field goal, they're the kind of kicks that if they had been a little bit longer, they might have leaked out. So I was a little like, will he make it? Will he won't? But he's a 90% for his career. He is, and a lot of those are like, a lot of the misses are from like 62 or blocked. So I wish if I could have anything in the world, it would be to accurately gauge how many missed field goals are on the kicker himself, as opposed to on Cook or on the snap or on the line for not blocking. Because there's several, like he should have had a perfect season in 2016, but the Patriots dude, I think it was Dante Hightower, jumped the line, which I think is a penalty now, jumped the line and blocked the kick. It's like, okay, what's Tucker supposed to do there? Curl it around the guy? No, you're not doing that and making the kick unless you're Matthew Wright in London. So big props to Justin Tucker. Also, big props to Marquise Brown, 116 receiving yards, tied for the most in the week.
We knew he'd be fine.
Yeah, good stuff.
He's having a great year.
Pro Bowl Hollywood, baby. Marlon Humphrey might suck now, but Marquise Brown is showing.
You're wearing his jersey.
Yes, I am wearing his jersey, but there's a reason that I haven't worn it in like a month. I need
I
to
think the
clear off.
last time I saw you wear that was the 12-hour stream.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So usually I wear my Lamar jersey every Monday.
Usually I would go with like, I don't know. This is I always get customized jerseys because I can never like my last player jersey was a Jared Goff jersey. We know how well that turned out.
Yeah, you get a
So-
Ramsey one or a Donald one.
I should get. I want to get like a Ramsey or a Donald like modern throwback.
Mm-hmm.
Those uniforms are sick.
Yeah, and I hate players like say Marlon. I would have loved the 29 jersey, but then Earl Thomas comes in and ruins everything. So now he's stuck wearing 44, and it's like I don't love the number 44 on a jersey, but it happens. It happens. Let's touch on one of the games that was just I can't put into words how weird this was. Denver walked into Dallas
and just
okay. You know the how Stan Kroenke got like people like really hate him and they would send him like ram dung in the mail.
People have done that?
Yes, people
oh my
like
God.
people have sent him ram dung in the mail.
That doesn't surprise me,
no.
honestly.
Denver. Okay, let me walk you through like the last 10 days from Denver. They have one of the worst wins of the season. They beat Washington, but it looked like every single one of their players besides Justin Simmons wanted Washington. Then Monday, they trade Von Miller, who might be the greatest player in the history of the franchise. And then 6 days later, they walk into Dallas. Dallas is a 10-point favorite. Dallas is getting their star quarterback back. Dallas has won 6 in a row, and they won without their starting quarterback last week. Denver scores the first 30 points.
I could not believe what I was seeing.
It was 30-0, bro.
Like I was like, okay, like I like keep in mind like while I'm tweeting all these games, like the progress of them and like how they're going, just so I can like say something accurate. And it's like
I've gotten in trouble for that. I said Khalil Mack was having a good game against the Raiders, and he was like awful.
Yeah. Like I was like, okay, this is just like Denver's just they got the first touchdown. It's fine. Dallas should keep steamrolling. They're up 30-0.
Yeah, even when it was like
hell?
when it was 16-0, and Denver had to punt. I pushed a poll. Hey, who's going to come back? Baltimore down at the time we're down 7. Vegas was down 4, and the Cowboys were down 16. But they were about to get the ball. They blocked the punt. Everything's going well. Sorry about that. Then it's like a 16-point game, and Dallas is going to get the ball back. And then they block the punt. The ball goes past the line of scrimmage. A Cowboy touches it. The Broncos dude grabs it, rumbles ahead for like 10 yards. And you're just thinking, okay, Dallas is going to get the ball back. Nothing happened. And then they got reverse Leon Ledded. Like that's what happened. You can't touch the ball like that. That's a muffed punt. Denver got possession of the ball and went down and scored some more points. I can't put into words. Dallas is very good. I know that. Dak is very good. I know that.
This game does not end Dallas. Let's be real. Like they've shown a lot this year.
They got put in a box by Vic Fangio.
But yeah,
like Teddy Bridgewater outplayed Dak Prescott in Arlington.
How often does that happen?
Never.
Where a team just walks into Jerry World and just destroys the Cowboys.
This is like very much like the Cardinals.
Denver of all teams, nonetheless.
Yeah, not even a good team. It's one thing when like Kyler Murray comes in and dunks on your entire franchise, but Teddy Bridgewater and Dak played in this game too. So what a strange game there. And speaking of strange, staying in the same division, Vegas over the Giants over the Vegas. That was the
Raiders.
NFC. Yeah, Raiders. The NFC sucked this week against the AFC. 7 of their 8 teams lost. This includes your Rams. This includes the Vikings. This includes Dallas. This includes Chicago as well.
It was a painful week for the NFC.
Yeah, and then the one team that wins is the Giants. What? Huh?
What? This week was so drunk. I keep saying it, but it's just oh god.
Man, I made a joke in my power rankings article that the Giants just could have just stood there and the Raiders would self-destruct. Like I don't think I've seen Derek Carr play that poorly in like 3 years. Like it was it was just such a stupid game. Like the Raiders are the better team. I know that. Everyone knows that. But they just they just came out so flat and they did nothing. Like the Giants have a good defense, but what are you doing, bro? Like I said bro like 5 times now. But it just is kind of incomprehensible how bad both Dallas and Vegas were this week.
Yeah, it is.
What is comprehensible is how bad Sam Darnold was.
Sam Darnold
Putrid.
is once again seeing ghosts, and Halloween's over. So
J.C. Jackson haunts Sam Darnold. Oh, although we did get a Stephon Gilmore revenge game. He has 2 picks.
He did get the revenge pick.
So congratulations.
I didn't even realize when it happened. I was like, oh, that's a revenge pick from.
Yes, it is a revenge pick. J.C. Jackson, my top 100 cornerback, 2 picks, unbelievable game. Took one back to the house. So living
Strong
learn, folks. Yeah.
Should I try to make excuses for the Rams really quick?
Sure.
I mean, I don't really know what else I have to say other than that sucked, to say the least. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. When you get your ass kicked in prime time, at home, nonetheless, it's very painful to watch
against a team that just lost their best player.
Like we've said, though, the Titans' defense has definitely stepped it up. And Absolutely. They were not missing AJ Brown. They were not missing Julio Jones.
Did Julio? I didn't see Julio.
Julio played.
Okay. Julio had the.
I don't think he exploded, but he played. He caught a couple passes.
How did you feel about seeing Adrian Peterson wear 8?
Single-digit numbers are so weird.
I thought it was goofy. I think you have to be good at football to wear a single-digit number unless you're a quarterback. So we've discussed Patrick Queen.
But to be fair, Adrian Peterson's good.
Well, he's a legend of the game, but this is year 14. Or no, not even year 15. He is 2 years away from being Frank Gore tier. Speaking of Frank Gore is fighting Darren Williams soon. As the undercard to a Jake Paul fight.
That's
Jake Paul.
My goodness.
Okay.
Back to the Rams.
Back to the Rams.
I think that the defense played well, especially in the second half. They stepped up. They played fine.
It was a matchup of the David Long Juniors.
Oh, it was, and their David Long Jr. is so much better than ours.
He got an interception.
He did. Yeah.
Kevin Byard.
Kevin Byard's elite.
Pick. All right. Did he have 2 picks or just 1?
I think he had 1.
One pick, but it went for 6. Beautiful, just baiting Stafford.
The Rams need to just take a step back and reassess.
Yes.
Breathe.
And realize that Matthew Stafford is not the second coming of Jesus. That is my one concrete criticism of Matthew Stafford and Herbert and Mahomes, that they think they're Jesus. They think they are the second coming. They think they're the best quarterback in the world. Some weeks, that's great. Other weeks, like this week, you look stupid.
You get humbled.
Yeah, Justin Herbert against Baltimore. You look stupid. Patrick Mahomes has the same PFF grade the last 5 weeks as Ben Roethlisberger had before Monday Night Football.
God.
Let that sink in, folks.
So here's what I'm going to end this with. The Rams have 2 losses this year. Both of them have come to teams with a combined record of 15-3.
But those teams did lose to the Jets.
They did.
And actually, ironically enough, the Titans' losses are to the other team that beat the Rams and the Jets.
This is the weird thing about the NFL. It changes like every week. Like one week you can look like the best team in the league, and the next you look like fart. The Rams just need take a deep breath, realize where they're at, realize it's not the end of the world, build upon this. You hopefully will be getting Von Miller. Von Miller did not make his debut last week. He will hopefully make his debut on Monday night against San Francisco. That's at least my hope. They don't know if he's 100% good to go. They said they might rest him through the bye. If that's the healthy thing to do, fine, but I prefer he be back now because the 49ers have had their way with us lately, and I do not want that to continue. We need to win this next game. So fingers crossed he's healthy. Fingers crossed he's good to go.
Absolutely.
Build upon, learn from this loss, move on. a loss to an AFC team will not hurt that bad in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of AFC teams that kind of saw the world flash before their eyes, Battle of Ohio, Browns at Bengals. The Bengals are on this incredible hot streak. They were 5-2, number one seed in the AFC. Then they go to East Rutherford and they lose to Mike White. So okay, they got hosed on a bad call late. Okay, and they had a fluky interception. Okay, so that loss shouldn't have been that close. Browns come to town. Browns have one of the worst weeks in recent history. Keep in mind, this is the Cleveland Browns we're talking about, not like the Steelers or the Packers. Like, we're talking about a bottom tier organization have one of the worst weeks in the last 10 years. This is a team that went 1-31, and I'm talking, this is one of the worst weeks. You release Odell Beckham, that whole mess. You're coming off a terrible loss to Pittsburgh. Not that Pittsburgh is a terrible team. It's just a game that Cleveland was favored in by 5, and they lost. And then Cleveland absolutely took a dump on this Bengals. Like, Joe Burrow turned into Ohio State Joe Burrow. Denzel Ward turned into Ohio State Denzel Ward. So shout out Denzel Ward. Unbelievable player when he's on the field, just not on the field enough. Greg Newsome had a great play on Chase. A slight underthrow from Burrow, but great play by Newsome nonetheless. Donovan Peoples-Jones showed out. Nick Chubb showed out. Now he's on the COVID list. And Baker Mayfield, before Justin Fields, was the number 1 graded quarterback by PFF. I know people hate PFF, but it's data. It's out there. Baker was very good against Cincinnati. So 41-16. I do think it's funny how these matchups like tend to, there's like sort of like a mirror effect. Last year, the Browns played the Ravens, lost by 35. Then they played the Steelers, lost by 34. Funny. This year, the Bengals beat the Ravens in Baltimore by 24. 2 weeks later, they lose at home to the Browns by 25. Almost identical scores in both of those games. So funny how that works. Welcome to competition in the NFL, Cincinnati. And it took 8 days for the Bengals to go from first in the AFC to bottom of the division and like 10th in the current playoff picture. So congratulations, Bengals. Hope you enjoy your next game against the – who do they play this week? I have no idea.
The Bengals?
Yeah. Are they on a bye?
Let me check really fast.
I don't think they're on a bye.
They have – I believe they're on a bye.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you enjoy.
It says their next game is scheduled for the 21st. So yeah, they're on a bye. Their next game is against the Raiders.
Okay. Enjoy your bye, Cincinnati. We'll see you in a few weeks. So, congratulations. The worst game of the week, hands down, was Houston, Miami. No team wanted to score in that game. Tyrod Taylor, what was that? Just what was that? Like, what was that? Jack, I think you're a better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor would have been. So,
didn't we talk earlier about how Tyrod looked decent in week 1?
Yes, and week 2.
And then he got hurt. And then Houston gonna Houston, and that's all we'll say
Houston's
about that.
Gonna Houston. Speaking of terrible quarterback play, Patrick Mahomes. What a segue.
Imagine segueing into Patrick Mahomes, talking about terrible QB play.
Yeah.
What happened to Patrick Mahomes, man? What happened?
So this is where I'm going to disagree with PFF. Jordan Love was graded as the worst quarterback of week 9. He had a 30 overall grade, a 29 sub 30 passing grade. That's really hard to do that. I've detailed how bad PJ Walker is. At least PJ Walker had like 5 throws, right? Or at least Jacob Eason had like 5 throws. The game he had like a 28 grade. Jordan Love played a full game of NFL action and graded out in the 30s. And I thought he outplayed Mahomes. I genuinely thought he outplayed Mahomes. Yeah. Mahomes did nothing special. Should have had a couple picks, but they were one was dropped by Kevin King. Kevin King actually played pretty well. Did have the dropped interception, but he played pretty well for once. So big shout out to him. the Packers defense showed up and they came to play. The Chiefs did too, but they were playing against Jordan Love. So huge props to the Green Bay, and they are number one in my power rankings despite losing.
Did we talk about the Aaron Rodgers situation?
I don't think so.
I don't really have much to say on that other than just get vaccinated if you're listening.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just weird how he went about it to me. Like, I understand, like, I'm all for having your own choice.
Well, yeah,
but
sure.
The whole immunized thing was a little, I thought it was almost humorous.
It was really sketchy when like they asked him if he was vaccinated and he used the word immunized. Like I was like, oh, he's not really. I don't think he actually got a vaccine.
It's like, okay, sure thing. Let's see. Any other games we need to touch on? Shout out to the Atlanta Falcons. They are in a playoff spot right now. Oh, I can't believe it either. New England took a dump on Carolina.
Arizona destroyed San Francisco, and they were missing everyone. So that's
no Kyler, no Nuke, no JJ Watt. Didn't matter.
No problem.
They walloped San Francisco.
So this is either a testament to how deep. This is a testament to how deep Arizona is, or it's a testament to how just terrible the 49ers are.
I think both of these are true. I think big props to Colt McCoy. This is the kind, he played a game that if Kyler had played against San Francisco, I'm like, okay, good game, Kyler. That helps out your MVP candidacy. But Colt freaking McCoy did that. Woo! There's like bonus points there. It's like Mike White torching the Bengals, or like when a backup quarterback does something impressive. Like, big props to
John Wolford last year. Let's go.
Yeah, Colt McCoy walked out of the tunnel at Levi's Stadium pretending he was the Texas Longhorns quarterback still. I know that Natty was played in Pasadena, but that's beside the point. He walked out of there and he said, I'm gonna go ball out. James Conner did the same thing. That was a tremendous win by Arizona. That is as impressive as it gets without your starting quarterback, without your number one wide receiver. You're missing two of the top 50 players in the NFL, maybe top 30 players in the NFL. And then JJ Watt.
I looked at that game. I looked at that game and I was like, if there's a time for the 49ers to get a nice bounce back win, it's going to be now. You don't have to play against JJ Watt. You don't have to play against
Kittle's coming back.
You're getting Kittle back. Like, everything looks great.
You're at home. And then you lay a stinker.
I mean, as a Rams fan, I'm happy that happened because that's a great. I mean, let's be honest, both of those teams laid eggs before their matchup against each other. Mm-hmm. Monday Night Football is going to be fun. Monday Night Football is going to be.
I'm excited. That's going to be a banger. Yeah. One final game: Chargers at Eagles. Justin Herbert showed out after being a pumpkin for 2 weeks. Played pretty well against Philly. Devontae Smith came out, huge game. I want to take a moment and call out all of the idiots that said Devontae Smith wouldn't work in the NFL. I don't care that he weighs 160. I don't care that he's.
Didn't he just win the Heisman?
Yes. I don't care. I don't care that he's a senior that won the Heisman. I don't care that it was a COVID year. I don't care that he's 160. If you get open in the NFL, it works. It's simple as that. It is cut and dry. If you get open, it works, unless you're Odell in Cleveland. That's one very specific example. Devontae Smith is unreal. Is he as good as Jamar Chase? No, but Jamar Chase is one of a kind. Devontae Smith is a menace to society. He led the week in receiving yards. Just an absolutely tremendous game. All around fantastic from him. And you can't press what you can't touch. So sure, is Devontae Smith going to have some bad reps that he looks stupid? Yeah, absolutely. Everyone in the NFL does that. But he is going to have some of the most special reps you will ever see out of the wide receiver position. And good on the Eagles for drafting him. I know this year hasn't gone as well as Eagles fans wanted it to go. I know they don't love Jalen Hurts. I know they've had injuries everywhere. But you can rest in the fact that Devontae Smith is just an awesome football player.
What is this from? Incomplete fracture in the how do you pronounce that? The scapula, I think, for Sam Darnold. So he has a right shoulder injury. This is breaking from Mr. Rap Sheet. So PJ Walker time in Carolina.
Ooh. Man, freaking. Oh, okay. Yep. PJ Walker. As much as I want to love PJ Walker, I love the story. I love everything around
Who do
him.
you play for in the XFL?
Houston is it the Roughnecks or the Renegades?
It was either the Roughnecks
He played
or
in
the.
Houston.
Yeah, it was the Roughnecks then. Yeah.
Okay. XFL MVP. Or I'm mixing my leagues up. AAF MVP. I get that. As an NFL quarterback, it just hasn't worked. And I know Mike Florio got into this with was it Kurt Benkert, the backup quarterback in Green Bay. I'm obviously not as good as PJ Walker. PJ Walker could throw a football better than I could when he was 3. I get that, but he has been an absolute catastrophe when he's played at the quarterback position this year. Mad respect for getting to the NFL, mad respect for being able to complete passes in the NFL. I know I wouldn't be able to do it. So I have a lot of respect for what PJ Walker can do on the football field. But he's not an NFL quarterback. It just sucks. And I really want to love his story. I want to think he's better than Darnold. He actually, I don't know.
It's like one of those stories where it's like he made it and that's great, but now that he made it, like now what?
Yeah,
there's
just lots of bad throws. And look, the NFL is hard, so props to him for making it to the NFL. Props to him for being that 1% of 1%. Mad respect to that. He's set for life. Huge respect. But in the realm of NFL players, in the realm of NFL quarterbacks, I don't think he's a top 50 quarterback. So, yeah. Let's I think that'll wrap us up for week 9. Actually,
that will. So we'll get into our
means we're halfway through the season.
Mid-season awards, and then we'll wrap it up with some hockey talk. So,
how do you feel about that, Jack? Halfway through the season,
it's flying by. It's always so fast. Every year, it's just like it's a blur. But
yeah, amen to that.
Football sometimes.
Yeah, it happens. That it does. All right. What position or what award do we want to start with?
This is one I think we'll agree on, so we'll start with it.
Okay.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. I've got Mr. Ja'Marr Chase.
I also have Mr. Ja'Marr Chase. He is currently 3rd in the NFL in receiving yards, I believe, behind Debo and Cup. Tons of touchdowns, has 6 of the touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, 8 Marlon Humphrey alive. Very nuanced route runner, nuanced. He does everything well. I said 2 shows ago that he was the most well-rounded receiver in the NFL. I still agree with that. Did have some drops the last couple of weeks, had a fumble last week. So the drops aren't gone. You just don't care because he's been so productive in other facets. It's the Tyreek Hill thing. It's the Amari Cooper thing. It's even the Cooper Kupp thing and Deebo Samuel thing. Those guys are among the league leaders in drops, but Cooper, not this year, but other years. But who cares? Because they're good in everything else. So I think Ja'Marr Chase is a runaway massive favorite offensive rookie of the year.
Absolutely. I also love just his connection. I keep referring to it as the LSU connection. It's just, which is just because they both went to LSU, but it's pretty fun to watch them play together.
That's true. There's some. There's a goofy thing with Dalvin Cook is the victim of domestic abuse and extortion, so that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how much news that is to us, but sure. All right. Next position. Let's roll with it.
We'll go defensive rookie of the year.
All right. Who's yours?
I got Micah Parsons.
I also have Micah Parsons.
There we go. So we're in agreement so far.
Yeah. I do want to shout out Greg Newsome, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, both Browns. They've been awesome. Odafe Owe leads all rookies in pressures with 24.
Odafe Owe looks really good.
Yeah, I love his energy. I don't know. Nate Hobbs from Vegas. I think he's like having a Pro Bowl caliber season. So I would say my top 5 would be Parsons, no particular order. Parsons, Owe, JOK, Newsome, and Nate Hobbs. So good
Parsons
job,
has just
Raiders.
made like a giant impact though. Like it's really fun to
Parsons
watch him play.
he's been a game changer. He's been
Yeah.
so good. He was awesome as an edge rusher. He's been awesome as a linebacker. He's a physical freak. So,
I love those players where you can put them on anywhere, like edge rusher or linebacker, and they
very
just ball
like
out
Isaiah
every time.
Simmonsy, Derwin Jamesy, just can do it all.
Yeah.
Just can absolutely do it all. So we agree on 2 of them.
We agree on 2. We're 2 for 2 so far.
I don't know how much longer we're going to be agreeing, though.
Offensive player of the year.
Okay. I think I know what your answer is. You
might be surprised.
Ooh, okay.
I've got Kyler Murray for offensive player of the year.
Okay. Okay. I don't hate it. I think it's generally not a quarterback award, which is a little goofy.
Yeah, that's more MVP. I'm kind of making a statement here, so now you know who my MVP is. But
are you ready for this? Hold on to your seats. As of right now, through week 9, we're recording this Tuesday, November 9th. It is 5:18 Mountain Standard Time. Yes, it's still Mountain Standard Time.
Jackson.
Trent Williams. Showing the offensive tackle some love.
Yes. You know what? Yeah. I respect the love to the offensive line. I really do. I think that Trent Williams
he has been devastating. I mentioned PFF grades earlier. Love them or hate them. The worst grade Trent Williams has gotten in any aspect of play this year, in any single game, is a 72 pass blocking grade.
That's his worst grade.
Yeah, his worst grade in any facet. This would be like a quarterback, take Lamar Jackson. This would be like a quarterback, his worst game being a pretty good game, right? Trent Williams has been awe-inspiring. Like, it was a conversation heading into the year. Who's the best tackle? Is it Williams? Is it Bakhtiari? Is it Stanley? Well, Stanley's hurt. Bakhtiari is, I think, on the verge of coming back. Trent Williams said, F that. I'm just going to have the most legendary 9 weeks by any position I think I've ever seen. He's not going to win it. It's probably Cooper Kupp right now, or Jonathan Taylor. But
Jonathan Taylor was
he's been going off in recent weeks.
Yeah,
he's had 4 or 5 weeks in a row that he's just been awesome. But I got to give it to Trent Williams. And say what you will about PFF grade, watch the tape. Every bit of that 97 run blocking grade, 97 for a season. You're an Aaron Donald guy.
I really need to watch more tape, honestly.
Yeah,
I need that Game Pass subscription to work. I need to figure that out. So.
Oh man, just flip on it. Niners game. And Trent Williams is the fun guy on the offensive line that has a highlight reel. Like, he is going to knock the socks off of guys on the second level, guys on the third level.
I'm afraid of him. He's got to be clamped on Monday, or we're screwed.
Oh man, you
come on, Vaughn. This is your chance.
Yeah, this is oh man.
Oh, Von Miller versus Trent Williams. That's going to be a banger.
And the funniest part is that
if they line up,
Trent Williams is only slightly ahead of Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith's having a throwback year in his own right, but it's just the things that Trent Williams has done this year. It's just special. Every week in and week out, he's in like, okay, who's my left tackle player of the week? Trent Williams is always in the discussion. There is the only players that I've had that, like, okay, they could be here, they could be there. It's like Aaron Donald, and that's about it. Donald's been in most of my like honorable mentions. Kupp's been in most of my honorable mentions. Kelsey is generally my honorable mentions, even though he's not having a very good year. And Zach Martin. Trent Williams has legitimately been on my short list all 9 weeks. Just a spectacular season. So he's my offensive player.
I respect that you have some love for the offensive line.
Yeah, I know he's not going to win it, but if I had to vote, Trent Williams.
I know it's a non-quarterback award, but I think that Kyler Murray, I just love what I've seen out of him too. Mm-hmm. So he's been balling out as of late.
So
definitely blew away my expectations. Yeah. So that means defensive player of the year is next. I'm not entirely sure whether we'll agree with this one. I'm kind of like 50-50 on it.
We're not. We're not. I'm going off the grid here.
You're going off. Okay.
Go ahead.
So now I got Trayvon Diggs.
Okay. I think he's losing steam.
He is losing steam, but I think he can pick it up. I mean, obviously, the stinker he put up last week was not great, but he's shown. I feel like if he builds momentum, especially towards the end of the season, he's got a chance at it.
Yeah, it's tough with the corners because it can be so interception driven, and
it really is.
And having a lot of interceptions doesn't mean you're a lockdown corner. It just means you have a lot of interceptions. It's like tackles, right? Like saying someone leads the NFL in tackles doesn't mean they're like the best linebacker. Like Eric Kendricks is never going to lead the NFL in tackles, but he was linebacker 1 coming into the season. He's played pretty well this season. But I don't hate it. He's still on my all-pro team, but if I was forced to choose like defensive back of the year, I would go Kevin Byard at this point. But I don't think he's a bad pick. I just think he's losing steam.
That's fair.
One guy that's not losing steam, and this I think might be my absolute hottest take.
Pepper X.
Yeah, this is Cameron Hayward is the best player in the NFL.
Okay, he had a really solid play last night.
That wasn't the only play, though.
Listen. Yeah, it definitely wasn't.
Do you realize how hard it is to outgrade Aaron Donald? It's very, very, very hard. Cam Hayward's doing that.
Please tell me you're not just going solely off the PFF grade.
Oh no, I'm not. This is tape. He was the best player on the field last night, other than Fields maybe. He was the best player on the field last night, and TJ Watt had 3 sacks. Put that in perspective. That I know people are going to be like, "Oh, Watt had 3 sacks. Why isn't it him? He was better than Hayward." No, he wasn't. Watch the game again. TJ Watt on his 3 sacks. One was a pressure forced by someone else, and Fields like climbed into the pocket, and Watt's just sitting there. Then there was one that was essentially a quarterback draw that Watt's just sitting there. Like Watt had 3 relatively unimpressive sacks. Those were all 3 of his pressures against a not a very good Bears offensive line. Cameron Hayward had 8 pressures. He came out and said, okay, and then he had an interception as well. So Hayward has been nothing short of sensational every week this season. Sorry for the airplane noises in the background. Nothing short of sensational every single week this season. I said Trent Williams was always in consideration. Cameron Hayward has either been in my team of the week or the very first name I've left out in every week besides the bye week. He had 12 pressures week 1, won a classic game. That here's the list of every player in the NFL to have 12 pressures in a season this year. Max Crosby week 1, Cameron Hayward week 1, Max Crosby against Denver. That's it. Cameron Hayward has one of those 3 performances. That is all pro level in his own right. And then week in and week out, every game for the last 3 years, he's been an elite run defender, and he's always an elite pass rusher. So give me Cameron Hayward as Defensive Player of the Year. And if I had to make my NFL top 100 right now, number 1 on that list would be Cam Hayward. And number 2 would be Trent Williams. So that's where I stand right now.
Pulling out all the Pepper X takes right
now.
Yeah,
I'm pulling out all the Pepper X takes.
I mean, hey, who knows?
Yeah. Would I take Aaron Donald in like the rest of the season? Yes. But first 9 weeks of the season, Cameron Hayward has been the single best player in the NFL. There's my take.
All right, then.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to knock Aaron Donald because Aaron Donald would be like 3 because he's been every bit as good as Hayward. It's just Hayward's been a tiny bit better like against the run. Donald, of course, is going to have the gaudy pressure numbers and the sack numbers. Hayward doesn't do that, but he does lead the NFL in batted passes, so that has to count for something. He has 5 or 6 of them. Had the interception
batted passes are like they drive me nuts when it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so offensive player of the year, Trent Williams. Defensive player of the year, Cameron Hayward.
Okay. Coach of the year. This is an interesting one.
Okay. Let me just say Sean Payton and Mike McCarthy were probably number 1 and number 2 on my list. Then they had awful weeks. Ooh, okay. The answer I wrote down is Mike Vrabel.
Okay, we both wrote down Mike Vrabel, but we're not. I think we're both not 100% confident in that.
Yeah. Bill Belichick, anyone?
Belichick, I think, is up there. wanted to so bad avoid bias, so that's why I didn't put Sean McVay. But I don't know if Sean McVay is having
Yeah.
a Coach of the Year type year.
No, I don't think so.
It's just the turnaround the Titans defense has been crazy.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's
I think
like they were
Vrabel, Belichick's a fun option
ugly,
too.
ugly, ugly last year, and Vrabel just turned it around.
Worst third down defense in NFL history. And now they're not. They're a top 10 on third down.
I think they're
And
like
they have a
6th or
competent
something.
defense. Yeah, I think they're the last time I checked, they were 8th. Maybe that changed with the Rams game, but
Where was that? PFF posted something about them. Let's see if I can find it.
I don't remember. And I also don't know if Cameron Hayward is the number 1 overall graded defensive player. He had been for most of the season, but I don't know if that's still the case. I think Donald outgraded him last night or outgraded him this week, but I thought Hayward was he was more impactful than Donald was. But tomatoes, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But
I guess Vrabel, like if the season ended today, I would pick Vrabel.
That's pretty much where I was at.
Yeah. I don't hate Belichick moving forward because they have some winnable games. They have a game against Cleveland, but it's in Foxborough.
He's keeping the Patriots in it. I'll say that right now. He had
a whale of a game against Sam Darnold. Granted, it's not necessarily that hard to do that against Sam Darnold.
He loves playing against the young QBs. Like I have yet to see the last young QB that completely fooled Belichick.
Lamar Jackson, 2019.
Lamar Jackson.
That's about it.
I guess
Justin Herbert turns into a pumpkin. Deshaun Watson's had his games.
Goff had a rushing touchdown against him last year.
Impressive. All right.
Next. I won't say that's the reason they won the game.
Kenny Young shout out.
I miss Kenny Young, but I also don't because Von Miller. But anyway,
happens.
Comeback player of the year, we'll probably agree on this one. It's Dak.
It's Dak. Look, as good as Joe Burrow is at football, as soon as Dak stepped on the field week 1, he's won this award. It is if Dak and Alex Smith were in the same year,
I'd probably still give it to Alex Smith.
I think so too.
Dak's injury was bad, but Alex Smith almost died.
This is true, but I don't know. I think just the way that Dak is like universally loved,
because he's on the Cowboys.
Yeah, which is weird. Cowboys quarterback is loved, which is just a strange combination. But yeah, I think Dak has a Mount Rushmore case for comeback player of the year, even if he sucked. So he's been playing pretty well. MVP level, maybe not, but he was awful against Denver. But
just considering the injury, though, the fact that he's even playing again, comeback player of the year, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do shout out to Joe Burrow. He's second, and that's a pretty easy top 2.
MVP time.
K1 missile.
I'm giving this one.
I think it's Kyler.
Yeah, I'm giving this one the Cooper Cup. I'm making a statement.
Wow, that came out of left field.
Wide receivers need to be into the consideration.
Wow.
I think Cooper Cup is it's his time.
Wow.
He is broken.
Okay.
Like we started the year talking about how you couldn't really have Cup without Woods. You couldn't really have Woods without Cup. And
you're right.
As the year has gone along, Cup has just exploded and become his own man, pretty much.
Correct.
Becomes just such a huge threat.
Mad respect.
What he does, both with and without the ball, I feel like too, is just incredible to watch. And
Cooper Kupp was my answer. Then I realized I'm going to give some love to Trent Williams. So Kupp would be my number 2 offensive player of the year. MVP is so weird. I did say Kyler, but as far as I'm concerned, there are 11 quarterbacks that currently have if they received MVP votes, I wouldn't object. Yeah. So Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Kyler Murray, and then Derrick Henry for as of right now, through 9 weeks would be like 11th MVP candidate. All 11 of those guys had something go horribly wrong this last week, except Brady, who didn't play, and Lamar, who won but had a kind of a fluky pick in overtime. So people might hold that against him for a few weeks. But what a strange week. Like every other MVP candidate kind of got dunked on a little bit. Like Allen sucked, Burrow sucked, Herbert had a good game, but 2 of his last 3 were terrible. Kyler didn't play and his backup won. Dak sucked. Carr sucked. Brady didn't play. The last week he did play, he sucked. And I'm going to double down on my Russell Wilson's going to win the MVP take. So,
okay.
So if I mid-season MVP is Kyler. My projections for how these awards are going to break out: Russell Wilson MVP, Cooper Kupp Offensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett Defensive Player of the Year, Chase Parsons, duh.
If people keep seeing me look to the side, by the way, I'm keeping my eyes on the Kings game right now.
It happens. I'm going to say Belichick Coach of the Year, and Dak is going to run away with Comeback Player of the Year. So there's my takes.
All right.
Boom.
There you go. Let us know what you guys think is your mid-season award nominees. We can have a nice little discussion about that. We'll wrap it up with some.
I was really proud of the Trent Williams one. I was walking home from class.
I did not see that coming. I'm so happy you showed some offensive line love.
I think I'm going to vibe here. And I think my Cameron Hayward is the best player in the NFL.
That'll be a fun clip.
Yeah. Would I necessarily say in the long run he's better than Aaron Donald? No. But I think he's had a better first 9 weeks of the season than Aaron Donald. And Aaron Donald is every bit as good. Aaron Donald did not lose his top spot. It's just Cameron Hayward has just been the tiniest bit better. I'm talking fractions of a point here, quite literally fractions of a PFF point. But you look at the tape, you match up the play-by-play, and Donald is slightly better in pass rush situations. Hayward is actually a solid bit better, and he's been the best run defender in the NFL. He and Devondre Campbell have just been sensational, and Derwin James as a run defending safety. PFF doesn't like him, but for some reason, but Derwin James is just so impactful. He is what people think Darius Leonard is. Actually, Darius Leonard's having a really good year, but he is what people thought Darius Leonard was before this year. So, speaking of Darius Leonard, stay tuned. I will have my mid-season all-pro picks in a couple days. Hopefully, we can get that going. So,
all right. So we'll wrap it up with some hockey talk. First
of
all,
Red Wings kind of suck.
Before I get into the standings update, Jack Eichel finally is on his way out of Buffalo, and he goes to the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean,
wait, what? I thought. Whoa! I thought he got traded to New York.
Nope, he going to Vegas.
Did that trade fall through?
No, I don't remember what trade fell through. I honestly.
Okay, because I honestly thought Eichel was on the Rangers.
Eichel's on the Sabres.
Oh, yes, but I thought he got traded to the Rangers.
Oh, okay. I see.
Okay, no, maybe I just read the wrong rumor.
You probably read the wrong rumor, but this was actually rumored for a little bit, and then it looked like maybe Calgary was going to trade away Matthew Tkachuk and some other pieces to Buffalo, but he ends up going to Vegas. Golden Knights fans are incredibly lucky because how often does it happen where you get an expansion team and by year 5 they've been into at least the semifinals every single playoff year? Yeah,
this is kind of incomprehensible.
Well, except for one when they had
the Red Wings actually don't suck as bad as I thought they did, but they're I don't know 6-5-2 with 2 overtime wins or 2 overtime wins.
That trade though is just so huge because you put him on the line. I think the rumored line right now is you put him with Max Pacioretty, and I forget who the other guy was. Bottom line though, I mean, once he for whatever stupid reason wasn't being allowed to get he needed spine surgery or something when he was in Buffalo, and they told Montreal just scored. Yeah, Buffalo told him, I guess he wasn't allowed to get it or something. I don't know what, but he is getting it, I believe, this coming week. So we'll see when that happens. And then he should be back. I think they're saying sometime around the All-Star break, but he'll be back in time for the playoffs. So that will help Vegas make their push. Unfortunately, they are currently not in a playoff spot. They're sitting at 6th place in the Pacific Division behind the Kings, who are 6-5-1. Golden Knights are 6-6-0. For anybody wondering about the Seattle Kraken, are they going to be the dominant expansion team like Vegas was? They're in dead last. They're 4-7-1. The hype has kind of died out so far.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that. Arizona, 1-10-1, solid.
Yeah, a nice transition to the Central. Edmonton leads the Pacific. They're at 9-1. Minnesota leads the Central. They're at 8-3. Florida Panthers 10-1-1, leading the Atlantic. Defending champions Lightning in 3rd at 6-3-2. Carolina Hurricanes at 9-1 lead the Metro. Carolina, I knew they had it in them. I thought Carolina was a pretty solid team. I thought they were a fringe playoff team. So right. I think they made a pretty deep run last year too. So
I do have a correction. Hayward and Donald have the exact same PFF grade. Both are 92.4.
Oh, there you go.
There. So I'm not just using PFF, folks. I have a Game Pass subscription.
So I'm gonna wrap up this hockey talk with so far. What do I think about the NHL now that they are off of NBC and now that they're on their national coverage is now being split between ESPN and TNT? Right now, I think ESPN is getting schooled by TNT because
ouch.
ESPN is trying to like do their own thing, which I can respect. I don't think their coverage is bad. Let me get that out of the way now. It's just that there's a lot of games like that they have exclusively on like Hulu or ESPN Plus, pretty much saying like, if you want to watch your team play, you need this subscription. Like if I didn't have ESPN Plus, I couldn't watch the Kings play 2 of their games this year so far. And the quality has just been garbage. Like I'm watching games on a potato pretty much. Like I could pull up a video or something right now, but it was just like, I think I actually have a picture on my phone. Like, if you can see this, it looks like bad quality already. It's like terrible.
Oof.
Like it's not great. And like ESPN's trying, and I think there's a bit of a nostalgia factor to it as well. Like they have the old theme song going. There's a lot. I don't know. It's weird to see what's going on with them, and then they're also trying to like kind of like jam Stephen A. Smith in there, which is not a good look.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't love Stephen A. when he's like in his NBA bag. I think he can work, but when he's forced to do other sports, I don't know. Like I don't love him talking football.
I don't even remember what the last thing he talked about like with hockey, and it was like he was like calling McDavid overrated or something. I don't remember.
Did you see the goal that McDavid had the other night?
Oh, that was disgusting.
Oh, he like deked the entire. I forget what team they were playing. He deked
like 4 people.
Like I make jokes that like Travis Kelce juked out the state of Baltimore, stuff like that. Connor McDavid like skated through a crowd of like people that actively wanted him to lose the puck, and he decided, nah, fam.
Oh man,
yeah,
that was filthy.
Unreal.
But I think TNT though they've just been doing a lot better. They're so far getting the Wednesday games. They should be getting a lot more as the season goes along. They're getting the Winter Classic, I think, too, which is big for them. Also, I think it just helps that like the people that they've chosen to hire so far have been a lot better. Like they went with a lot of the former NBC guys, and then they hire Wayne Gretzky. I mean, come on. Like, when it comes to hockey, would you rather listen to Stephen A. Smith or would you rather listen to the literal greatest player ever?
Good point. I don't know. I think I might rather listen to Stephen A. talk about basketball than Michael Jordan, but I don't know.
I think he's very sport dependent. It's fun though. It's fun to see ESPN trying some things with it.
Yeah, that's true. What's your opinion on like player commentary versus not player commentary?
You mean like a former player commentating the game?
Yeah. Like would you rather listen to a former player talk about it or a not former player talk about
I'd
it.
rather listen to a former player because they I feel like they understand the game. Like, especially if it's like like they started commentating like after they retire, like they're so fresh off the game, like they understand it, I think, better than most commentators would. So
I think there's a mixed bag. I think there's some that I really like. Let's say like the Manning cast, I think is great.
yeah.
Or I
Yeah,
love
I'm kind of
Aqib
in
Talib.
agreement with you.
Like I love Aqib Talib. I don't
Akeem
care
Talib
what
was
he
awesome.
says, but it's just golden. But
He did the Rams preseason. He was awesome.
yeah, I love Talib. But then there are some guys that I do think that didn't play, but they make a lot of valid points. And whether that's from a coaching perspective or just from like even a fan perspective, like learning about the game, I think it's a mixed bag. That I don't think it's a guarantee that the player is better than the non-player, but I do think you have like a higher, like if you want the best, you're getting a former player, right? Whether
Exactly.
that's Aqib
Wayne Gretzky.
Talib or Gretzky or whatever it may be. So I do think there's a high variance there because there are some absolute melon heads.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely
So
true.
like I know people don't like Ryan Hollins, but he was bang on with the Luka take because Luka's essentially I complain about Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Matthew Stafford thinking they're the second coming of Jesus. Luka Doncic is in fact the second coming of Jesus. So
He's
hallelujah,
unreal.
hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I like that.
Hallelujah.
Anyway, my point being with this whole rant, I think so far ESPN not terrible, but step your game up a little bit more. I do like that they're bringing in some. I think it's interesting that they're bringing in like some of their personalities. Like they had Boomer doing some like videos on the NHL as well. It was fun.
What? Okay, I do want to say my favorite part of any week is when the Ravens win or don't play, and Boomer does the fastest 3 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much. Like when the Rams lose, I don't want to watch it, but when they win, like get me on that. Like
yeah,
I would love
like
to hear.
even when the Ravens lose, as long as that's not like the focus, because he goes so fast through them, and it's just dun 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 dun. Oh yeah, just oh man. Oh, one of our episodes, we should rank the theme songs, like
We
CBS,
should.
NBC.
Just sports theme songs. Yes,
Yeah.
I would love to rank them.
The Champions League. Oh yes, we need to 100,000% do that. One of our off-season
we can do it next. We can do a thumbs up, thumbs down on it next week.
Yeah, that'd be great. Oh, but okay, I don't know if thumbs up, thumbs down works on that because I think all of them are thumbs up.
All of them are pretty good, but we just have to like tier list them or something. I can make a tier list.
Any bad ones. Didn't you post one, or was it Will that posted? It was like old Thursday night.
That was me. Yeah, I posted the old Thursday night theme.
I didn't remember that. That was like, okay, this slaps. Like
that went hard. I was like, I low key missed that song. That went hard.
Yeah. Oh man, there's ESPN. For as much crap as they get, sound effects bang on.
Bang on.
I think
even Bally Sports. Like everyone disses Bally Sports, but I think their theme song's pretty.
Yeah. So we need to have the return of Squash the Splash. And we need to have we need to rank the
tune in next week and we will I think I'll put together a tier list and we'll get that going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to throw it out there that we did have a Squash the Splash moment. We're going to pull back the curtains on U Stadium today. We got a call today, like just a progress check. And Nick asked me who this random dude on like the 14-17 Panthers was. I had jack squat clue. So Nick, congratulations. You squashed the splash today.
Round of applause there. All right. I think that wraps us up.
Yeah, one final note. I didn't mention this on the last show. The coolest thing about the Braves winning the World Series is going on Sporkle and typing in Jorge Soler World Series MVP and Atlanta Braves World Series champions. That's when it set in. That's me typing in Atlanta Braves and correct answer. That's when it set in. So go Braves.
It feels good. I was there last year. It feels good.
Yeah. Re-sign Freddie Freeman. Go Ravens. Curb stomp the Dolphins, please. I want to rest easy for a night. I want the stress to stop because our 8 games this season, heartbreaking loss against the Raiders, heart-stopping win against the Chiefs, heart-stopping win against the Lions. Pretty easy win against Denver. Then it was it Chargers next? I think we had a game in between. I forget.
You guys smoked the Chargers.
Yes, we did. I'm blanking on the order of our games. We had another game because we beat Denver. I guess Denver was to go to 4-1. No, Denver was to go to 3-1. I'm missing a game somewhere.
You're forgetting your own team's schedule. Hang
yes.
on.
Okay. So it was we beat Vegas, lost to Kansas City.
No, you lost to Vegas.
Oh, we lost to Vegas. We beat Kansas City. We beat Detroit. We beat Denver. Week 5, we played.
You beat Indianapolis.
Oh, that's right. I just totally forgot that game existed. That was a heart-stopping game. Then we absolutely massacred the Chargers. Then got curb stomped by the Bengals, and then have this gutsy pull-it-out victory over the Vikings. I want an easy game. I preferably like Lamar Jackson has a good performance.
You can only play the Chargers once, so there you go.
You're not wrong. So yeah, hopefully. How do you feel about Lamar for MVP?
It's feasible.
Because I know it gets laughed at in the AFC North group chat, and I get it because statistically he's not the most dominant player, but he's top 10 in the NFL in passing yards. He's top 10 in the NFL in rushing yards. He has a ton of touchdowns. Well, not really a ton of touchdowns, but he has like enough. And I think he might not be the 2021 MVP, but I think across the league, he is the most valuable player in the NFL. Like the Ravens, I don't think there's any team that would have a bigger drop off from their starting quarterback to their backup because Lamar does everything for the Ravens offense. I know Mark Andrews is having a great year. I know Marquise Brown is having a great year. I know Patrick McCarry has been a competent right tackle, but Lamar is the instigator on everything. And it's even more so than other teams because other teams, like say Brady, say Rodgers, say Stafford, they are not the primary rushing threat on the offense. They are not. There are plays that they can take off. Lamar Jackson has like 10 plays a game that he can take off because it's just a handoff. But even then, a lot of those handoffs are reads, right? He's reading someone. He's making sure something goes. He has to be on all of his P's and Q's. Stafford, every other quarterback in the league, they can say, okay, I just have to hand the ball off here. I don't have to do much. Lamar has to be on it every single snap. And he has these plays that he's going to run around for 20 seconds and make something happen. And then he has to do it again and again and again and again and again and again. Right. So I think he is the most valuable player in the NFL. I wouldn't necessarily vote for him to be the MVP this year. I would vote for Kyler at the moment, but I think Lamar has a compelling case of the storylines, especially if he plays well against Pittsburgh. Not saying he will, but if he plays well against Pittsburgh and the Ravens can like win some games here, have a good game against Miami, everyone's going to be watching against the Dolphins, have a good game against Chicago, then you have perhaps the most difficult 3 games that any team in the NFL will have this season. Browns, at Steelers, at Browns. And the Browns have a bye week in between. So you get the Browns in a primetime game. You have to head to Pittsburgh, and then you have to head to Cleveland. Cleveland coming off a bye, and you're coming off of 2 of your like biggest games of the season. I can't see haven't seen another team with that kind of schedule. And they play Cincinnati later in the season, and they play the Rams, and they play the Packers. They play the Steelers again.
We might be at each other's throats at some point later on. What is that, like week 17?
I think so. Yeah, early January. So
yeah, that's week 17.
Go Ravens, go Lamar Jackson, go Marlon Humphrey.
For today, go Kings.
Go Red Wings. I don't know if they play today, but go Red Wings.
I don't remember either way.
Anyways, stay tuned. In about 10 minutes, we're going to have a wonderful live stream from Mr. Zach. So tune into that. Make sure you like the stream, smash that like button, baby, and ring-a-ding-ding that Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell had a good performance against the Vikings.
He actually had a really good performance.
Yeah, he was actually cooking with gas. Like he had a vintage Bell game. Freeman had a vintage Freeman game. Patrick Ricard, yes, sir. Wide receiver 1, Pat Ricard, 315 pounds of awesomeness there. turned Minnesota's defense into mincemeat. Also, big shout out CJ Ham. He had a big he did that on one of our dudes. So huge props. Fullbacks are people too. Remember Kyle Juszczyk, the GOAT. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you ring a ding ding that Le'Veon bell. And with that said, that should be it. So remember, everyone, Aaron Donald trains with knives, but Cameron Hayward has been a tiny bit better this season. I know you're not going to agree with that. But
for now. But
Aaron Donald trains with knives.
He trains with knives. We'll see you next week.
I forgot to do the little thing. Boom.